Good afternoon, everyone. It was obviously a great day on Saturday, really good win over a good team in a really good environment. I thought our guys had a great week of preparation, had really good focus, and played their best when we needed to have their best. And I told them early in the week that average wasn't going to be good enough and we needed to raise our level of play. And they did that. And so it was fun to see us put a game together like that and get a big win. Now it just raises the stakes and it gets tougher and tougher. We've got a really good football team coming in here, Texas Tech, and excited to have them at home. But we've got to come up with great plans. We've got to have great focus because it's going to be a heck of a battle here at the Bill.
Taken for what you've said throughout the season, your preparation, the team's preparation has greatly improved. How do you keep maintaining that? And as you mentioned, the challenges get bigger.
Yeah, couple things. One, we changed some of our stuff about a month ago as well, and we now practice on Friday and not Thursday, and the guys have really bought into that, and we do a long walkthrough on Thursday, and our guys really have – you got to buy into it if you're going to make a change when you're not having success, and our kids did that. But I also know, as every team is going through, you can't practice as much right now. You know, everybody's banged up and beat up, and we're no different. And, I hope the guys that got hurt on Saturday will be able to play. We'll find out. But you can't be out there and just banging on guys. And so we got to do a really good job, with our film preparation, with our walkthrough looks, and then taking care of our bodies. I mean, that's the things that we've got every modality here for our guys to take care of it. Now, as you get into November, man, you got to take care of your body.
What do you do to get the guys to mentally shift now? You got to get over what you just did. Here we go.
I know it. One of the things is we haven't done a great job of that after that game. And, I know it, and I think you got to talk about it. No different than you talk about last week and the streak and whatever. And this week, you got to talk about, that was a great win, but we have to move forward. And we got to play. We can play better. I know we can play better. We did some really good things, but we have to play better. I think having this as a home game is going to help. I think we're going to have a pretty electric crowd, and I think it's going to be, a crazy environment. Now we've got to match that with really good preparation, really good physicality, and be focused because this team has run a lot of people out of there in the first half.
Was that? You look at Avery's stats, there's nothing overwhelming about him, but was that his best game? He just kind of managed the entire game.
Yeah, I thought it was, as well as same thing. We didn't have the ball that much, especially in the first half, but we were efficient with the second drive we have, or the first drive we have on offense. We take it down and score. We get the punt return or punt block for a touchdown, so we don't have another drive. And then we have another nice drive to score after a turnover by the defense. It was just efficient in 20 plays. And then in the second half, once we got the game in hand, we didn't throw it very much. We ran the ball an awful lot. The conditions were not very good, so we wanted to try to shorten that game and make them play catch up and didn't need to do very many things. But at critical times, obviously, they kicked the field goal and talked to Wellesley about being aggressive, and we see a great look and throw the vertical to Jace for a touchdown. That's pretty efficient. And, the thing for us that we couldn't do on Saturday is lose the explosive play battle. And it's the first time that I think that we really did really well and dominated that. We didn't have a ton of explosive plays on offense. I think our tally was around 10, but they didn't on their offense. They only had a handful. So that's something that, this week's going to be the same thing.
You were right when you said a few weeks ago that this team is ascending. You just said they can play even better, but how close was that to your best football?
It was really good. You're always striving for perfection, and you're not going to get there. But we misfit a couple things on defense. We had a couple of plays. We had somebody wide open, and Abe missed him. Which we could have gone up 28-7. Okay, that's something that we can get corrected. We fumbled a kickoff return. We did some things really well, but there's a couple of times we could have popped it for a 10, 12-yard gain and we get one or two. There's little things that we can fix, but nothing catastrophic happened. And in a game like that, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, the first play of the game it was, but with the conditions the way they were, honestly, the team that was able to control the line of scrimmage and not turn the ball over had the advantage, and we were able to do that. We didn't turn it over offensively, and then we were able to get a few on defense.
Safe to assume that this will be the biggest test for your offensive line coming up on Saturday?
Oh, without a doubt. To date, it is. They've got really, really good players across the board, and then, not just the defensive line, but I think those linebackers are really good players, and so they're clean a lot too because you got to double so many guys up front and try to keep a hat on a hat that those linebackers run and hit.
As if Morton's going to start at quarterback?
Yeah, I think we will. I think that was probably the plan. I don't know everything that's going on with him. I've been really impressed. We played against him before. He's a veteran guy. What do you know? Another veteran guy that we're playing in the league. But I think they held him last week. It's unfortunate that the backup got injured, so I'm sure it's got to be Morton. But I'm sure that he needed that extra week, and he was able to get it.
I wanted to ask about one thing you mentioned on Saturday. You said after the Arizona game, you came back here and basically went back to fall camp.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Can you elaborate on exactly what you mean by that and what you guys did to get things turned around that 5 weeks?
Well, who'd we play the next week? UCF. We didn't work a snap on UCF, not a walkthrough, not anything up in the office, nothing. We just went back to what we do in fall camp, which is K-State against K-State. Good against good, our best against our best in all different situations, from choice downs to third down to inside run to red zone to 7-on-7 to everything, and then went and evaluated as if we were just in the middle of August because we weren't a very good football team and needed to go back to what we missed in fall camp by flipping the script because of how the schedule dictated. By going to Ireland, we had to move on to game planning, and so we needed another week of fall camp, and it came at the right time because I didn't think our guys' bodies were beat up because it was still early enough in the season, and B, we weren't playing very well, and the guys owned it, coaches owned it, players and coaches owned it, that we weren't a very good football team, and that's half the battle. You can blame people and say we're not doing it. No, we weren't coaching very well, and it starts with me. We weren't playing very well, so we had to go back to square one.
Has the progress you guys made over the last few weeks, do you feel like the roster feels revived or in any way?
Yeah, I know I don't think you get revived when you get to November, but you get there's a lot more juice and energy when you play good football and it shows, and you win a few games, and then you go on the road like we did at KU in a game that not a lot of people thought we were going to win. There's not a lot of people thought we were going to win that game, and then go and dominate that game. Yeah, that brings a lot of energy to the team, and it brings a lot of energy to the program.
Sorry to keep asking about Dylan, but at this point in the season, do you think he's going to redshirt or
I
play
haven't
again?
talked to him about that part of it, but I know that he's going to be out again this week. There's something going on with the lower extremity that we continue to do imaging on, and the imaging that we've received, which it's been a week or so now, which we received the last one after the press conference last Monday, late in the afternoon, Monday or Tuesday morning, I can't remember, that it wasn't healed. And so if it's not healed, he's not going to play. We're not going to put him out there. Trust me, Dylan wants to play, but his body's not there yet. And so we have to revisit that. But I want to just make sure the kid gets healthy. That's the most important thing for me, is he gets healthy.
You know me, I kind of like these things.
You do, D. Scott.
You have a satisfying win. You get off the bus. You probably go home. You come back on Sunday and open up the front doors. Can you take it from there and just kind of what's going through your mind as you go in the office, and what's maybe the first couple things that you do?
It's the same as every other Sunday. And I know this is a boring answer to you, these guys, but it's the same as every other Sunday, whether we win or lose. Honestly, for us, we meet right in here at 11 o'clock. We go through all the special team stuff. Nate Katzer goes through every phase of it. We talk about personnel. We talk about the things we did well. We talk about the things we have to improve on. Then we meet as a staff at 11:30, and we talk about the game. A lot of fun talking about this game. As far as the positives, okay, now what do we need to work on, Wellesley? What do we need to work on, Joe? Here's what I think we need to work on, whether it's getting off blocks to sustaining blocks to route running to coverage, whatever it is. We talk about the different things. Okay, now let's talk about our injuries. What are we going to get out of this week's practice? Are we going to have to cut back? Is so-and-so going to be available? Mindy comes and talks to us about those guys. And then, honestly, I go up there from noon until probably 5 o'clock, and I watch the game with the defense. I watch the game with the offense. I get a quick workout. I needed this Sunday. I needed a quick workout on Sunday, and then I go back and watch film until it's time to go home. That doesn't sound like very much fun, does it?
Zayshawn seems like a very fascinating young man, and he's 8th in the country in PBUs right now. A little bit of his story and just what you like about him.
Yeah, a kid from Minneapolis that came to a camp and impressed the heck out of us at a camp. And I know some of the coaches up in those high schools. I spent a lot of time up there, and they spoke nothing but really highly of him. And that's why he came here as a freshman and played. You know, he was kind of the Jacob Parrish of his freshman year. Play on special teams, learn a little bit, get some spot time here and there. But that valuable experience sitting behind Jacob Parrish, like Jacob had sitting behind Juju Brents and Echo, he just got the game. He understood it. And so playing that little bit and all those special teams last year just gave him the confidence this year to continue to ascend and be that number one corner for us. And I think he's played really good football. I think there's more in Zay, but there was more in Jacob Parrish as a true sophomore. And we saw what he did as a true junior. I see the same thing in Zayshawn. They have very similar trajectories.
I was going to ask you about the offensive line, what you thought after looking at the tape, and then in particular, how much did JB help you?
Offensive line played well. I thought Sam Heck's playing like I know Sam Heck can, is the best center in probably the conference and one of the top ones in the country. I'm biased, but Sam is a dominant football player. I thought TP played one of his best games physicality-wise. It was good to have JB back, and I don't know if he played 15, 20 plays. It was good to have Terrence Enos back to play 15 or 20 plays. Amos played another 15 or 20 plays. It spread those reps out, and I thought we did a really good job. It didn't, we rushed for 150 or something, but at critical times we were able to rush the football, and I thought that was really important for us to play 7 guys, and I thought they did a really good job. I thought where they really excelled was in pass protection. We didn't allow a sack, and I think we had 4 or 5 ourselves, and that's a big deal when you can keep Avery protected. As you guys can see, when Avery's got time, he's seen the field well.
I was going to ask you about the sacks too, because you did that without Toby, and it looked like Ryan and Jordan and those types of guys certainly stepped up.
Yeah, the whole defensive line, the D tackles, the DNs, everybody's spelling each other, keeping each other fresh, and Daniels is as elusive of a quarterback as there is in our league, and he's really hard to sack. So for us to get him a handful of times, as well as hurry him as many times as we did, I think was a huge factor. But a guy like Malcolm, it goes just kind of unheralded. Malcolm is disruptive as heck in the run game and throw game, and there's all sorts of those guys that are spreading their reps out but doing really well.
Since you brought it up, I'll ask you about Malcolm. When did you kind of have a sense or a feel that maybe he could do some of the things that he's doing here in the last, I'll say, month?
Yeah, well, we didn't have a lot of production for us last year. Sometimes junior college kids don't, but you could see him in the spring and the summer starting to figure it out, and I thought he had a really good early fall camp, and then I thought he had an excellent fall camp after Arizona week, that okay, this guy's got to keep playing for us because he's getting better and better. And you look at him the last couple weeks compared to the first few weeks of the season, he just feels a lot more confident and a lot more comfortable in our defense.
What's most different about Joe Jackson in the last month?
Confidence and belief. He's getting all the reps too. I think that's a huge thing. Running back, a lot of times people don't think it's a rep deal, but just the timing of it, who you're reading, and seeing how you slide off the shelf if it's a zone game, or how you're hitting it if it's a gap scheme. I think that confidence you can see it growing with him, and I think Joe's got better football in him too. But I tell you what, he's running hard and running physical and catching the ball out of the backfield, and so happy for Joe. He stepped up.
On the other side with Texas Tech, what separates Dickey as a running back?
A couple things. One, they have a really good offensive line. They've got a 1-2 punch back there. It's not just Dickey. They can really rush the football well, and then they're getting so many explosive plays outside with their tight ends and their wideouts that you got to kind of pick your poison. Are you going to play a too deep look and try to take away some of those shots, which some people do, and then it opens up big gaps for those guys, or you're going to put everybody up in the run, and you're going to give up some shots. And so, they're just plus guys. They're dominant on defense, and when they're dominant on defense, they're getting a lot of snaps on offense, and that's something that you can tell. They're jumping on people fast just because they're so disruptive on defense, and then getting short fields. This team is as good as anybody of punching the ball out. They're as good as – I think the Rodriguez kid is one of the best linebackers in the country, and they're as good as anybody there is at punching the ball out. And they've done that time and time again in critical situations.
You just answered my first question about Jacob Rodriguez, but Dez on the other side – why do you think he's on such a big run right now, making plays?
It's his last year. He's playing really high level. He's taking care of his body. He's healthy. Last year at this time he wasn't very healthy. This year he's a lot healthier. He understands the game really well. He does a great job of being a student of the game and seeing things of how things are going to happen, play to play. Because he's a step ahead. He knows when a motion, he knows when a shift's happening. He can see a guard that's light, that's pulling. He can see a guard that's heavy, that's pass setting. He does all those little things really well. And then he's just a terrific football player. He's explosive as heck. He's quick. He's a good tackler. And I think he's playing his best football right now.
When you go back and watch the Kansas game, Jalen Daniels came into the game, or the Kansas game. Jalen Daniels came in one of the better seasons of his career, one of the most efficient passers, but you guys gave him one of his worst games of his career. Just what did you guys do so well that you saw on tape?
Well, I thought we were able to get pressure with 4 guys. I thought that was a huge thing for us. We blitzed him some, and then we just changed a bunch of looks in the back end. I think with Jalen you have to, because he's played so many snaps. If you line up and he knows it's man, he's going to pick you apart. If he knows it's zone, he's going to pick you apart. I thought Coach Klieman and the defensive staff and our players executed the plan really well of showing man, playing zone, showing no pressure and bringing pressure. We dropped ends a couple of times that I think maybe had a factor in some of the things that we were doing, that it wasn't an easy look pre-snap, and that pre-snap look coming post-snap was even more difficult. And then we were able to get pressure on him like we were. I thought it was really good. Now he missed one kid. They had a post route. They got behind us and they overthrew it, and we were fortunate on that. So there's a little bit of luck in this too.
Notice that Austin Romaine was playing with some kind of a cast or something. Is that just something that he's fighting through?
I feel bad for Austin. He's dealing with an injury, obviously on his hand that's been bothering him, and we've been trying a lot of different things. And that kid's a warrior. He lines us up. He plays his tail off. Austin would be the first one to tell you it wasn't his best football game. But I also know what he gives us out there from getting guys aligned and being a leader. Austin will rebound. But I feel bad for him because he's having a hard time gripping with one of those hands.
Chris, the way Texas Tech is playing this year, do you almost kind of have to forget everything that you've known in the past when you've gone against them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. And, we haven't played them since 23. But no, it's a totally different team, different coordinators and stuff. And Joey's rolling, and he's got them going, and he's got them playing really well. And, I know they got tripped up at Arizona State, but they won at Utah and won at Houston. Those are tough places to go and win, and they did that. And so that's why we got to get it cranked up in here on Saturday.
I wanted to ask about Lincoln. You got him a little bit more involved in offense this last week. He made some nice catches.
Yeah.
Where's he matured the most this season?
I think you hit it on the head. He's matured and started to understand the speed of college football. That first catch he had, maybe our first or second play of the game, where he ran a crossing route and attacked the ball and ran away from the defender. I don't think he could have done that 4 weeks ago with the confidence that he did it on Saturday. And that's fun to see because we know how special of an athlete Lincoln is, and it's just we knew it would. It's just taking time to get acclimated to the speed of what college football is. But we made a conscious effort whenever it was, probably about that first bye week, to say we got to get this kid involved. Plus, he was hurt before then. We got to get him involved because he's a really talented guy. And I think we'll continue to get him more involved as he gets more and more comfortable, which I think he is getting.
Lead the country in takeaways.
Yeah.
How proud are you of that?
Really proud. I credit Coach Klieman and that defensive staff of emphasizing it. And sometimes they come in bunches, but you got to emphasize it. We're doing turnover circuits all the time. We're stripping, our backs and stuff. You see it in practice as well, going and trying to attack the football when it's in the air. That's been a big part of our success, guys, the fact that we have, knock on wood, we have not turned the football over on offense, and we've gotten those turnovers on defense. And so I don't know where we're at, plus close to double digits, but that's been a huge factor for us as we've played better.
Not talking to Joe today, but talking to you, just give me your thoughts on what that mob mentality means.
It's mind on ball for starters. Let's make sure we're all squared away on that. It's been hey, our mind's on the ball, meaning we've got to get the ball out. We've got to get the ball back to our offense. That's what the mob is mind on ball. And our kids hold each other accountable to that. If you're not stripping in practice of the football, man, Dez, Austin, Cody, Dame, VJ, they're going to be on your tail because we can't just go and arm tackle. We didn't tackle very well on Saturday, and our guys were on each other's butt for it because we have to tackle well. But we were able to get the ball out and strip it, and I thought Daniel Cobbs has as good interception as you're going to have here. But that's that mind-on-ball mentality, and those kids hold each other to that standard of we got to get the ball back for our offense.
Okay, one more on Zayshawn really quick. I don't know how much you watch his technique, but what does he do particularly well out there?
Patience. Sometimes corners get in a hurry, and then they open up their hips too early. He's connecting with guys and connecting in a balanced position where he can then break, whether it's vertically back to the ball, vertically downfield, inside, outside. Some guys get too much on their heels as defensive backs. Zayshawn is very patient and has a great center of gravity, and he's got really good hip flexibility, ankle flexibility, and he studies the game. You can do all those things. If you don't study the game, you're not going to be very good, and he studies the game.
Coach, I was going to ask about Jace now. I mean, Saturday he was special, simply put.
Yeah, he was really good, and he practiced just one day last week, and I think he's starting to get healthier. He was not healthy against TCU. We all knew that, and but he wanted to play. And so we shelved him for that bye week, and then he only practiced one day and then had the walkthrough. But he's working his tail off to try to get himself healthy, and I thought it was the healthiest that he has felt on Saturday, and it showed. We put him in some different spots. That's the one thing with Jace is even not practicing a bunch. He's a really smart player that you can move him all over the place, and it's not too much for him. Same thing's really with Tibbs and JB. We're moving those guys around and not keeping them all stationary where people can ID them. And I thought Avery did a really good job of finding him on the one vertical ball, and then on the one that he got tackled on the one, staying alive. And those guys just have such great chemistry. Jace and Avery do. They've played catch for years now.
Last one. I'm curious as a coach, what it's like for you when you see Jacob Knuth, who hasn't had many opportunities, have a couple of that 40-yard run was sweet.
He earned the right, and he didn't deserve to play. He earned the right to play. And Jacob would have played last year against Colorado, but he got hurt that week, and Taquan got those snaps. A lot of people don't know that Jacob was the 2 and then got hurt, and Taquan took those snaps. And Jacob kept fighting and kept battling, and we hadn't had even an opportunity to name a 2 or anything, and we had the chance, and I said, both Matt and I were like, okay, let's go with Jacob. And more importantly, I wanted to see him not just hand the ball off, and we weren't going to throw the football. Everybody knew that, but he got the third down, and I said, let's run him. And we had a nice gain, and we called timeout, and I thought it showed the confidence and belief that myself and Wellesley have in him. Been easy to punt that thing, but we wanted to end the game on offense. I think that was poetic for our guys up front. And so I said, Jacob, we're going to give it to you again. Go get the first down. Lo and behold, I didn't know he was almost going to break it and score. But I thought that you could see the smile on his face, and love his family. They're great people, and I know how excited they were, and I know how excited it was for Jacob. But Jacob has earned those opportunities.
The last 2 times you guys have beaten Kansas, you come out and lose it next week. Just do you notice anything from the last couple seasons?
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about earlier. Of we're going to address it and talk about it, but nothing in particular that I noticed. But other than the fact that it has happened, so we need to discuss it.